everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Growth Invitation Season 2, where we are bringing on powerful females. So, as per usual, I'm bringing on incredible women from around the world to share their stories of challenges and growth as an invitation and inspiration to all of you out there so that you understand and know that no matter what you're going through, what you have experienced and where your starting point is. And wherever you are right now, you get to choose to grow and change your life and transform and manifest your dream future. So today, I'm really excited to have the amazing Kate Capelli with us. Hello, Kate.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
So excited about this topic that we're going to be talking about today because, something that pretty much is like a buzzword these days, the word freedom.
Yeah.
And everyone's looking for, I want to be free, I want to be time free, financially free, worry free, stress free, this free, that free. And, we put a lot of, almost like a lot of emphasis on this word and finding it. But do we all really know exactly what it means? Do we for ourselves, or are we kind of like scrolling on Insta and saying, "Oh yeah, this one is this. Oh, that looks cool. This looks cool." So that's why I wanted to really bring you on, Kate, to kind of talk about your story because you've got a really inspiring story about how you actually redefined freedom for yourself truly. And so before we get started on your story, I would love for you to give a quick introduction to yourself, so the audience understands who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right now, I guess I'll start off with what I do as a profession, as most people do. So, I am a business coach, especially for coaches in the health, wealth, and relationship space. And I help them with things like getting clients, marketing, sales, etc., etc. But I've had a very long history of working various professions, and that spans from working as a police officer to being a travel agent, working in sales, to working in retail, being a full time digital nomad, and everywhere in between. Um, but I think where my journey kind of started is I was living life kind of like everybody else. So a brief history. I'll try and keep it as brief as I can because it's been a wild ride up to bring me here in this moment. But I think I'll start off with my police officer career because before that I was just sort of bouncing around random jobs. I grew up on a council estate. I never went to university, and my first real job, I guess, was going into the police force. And this is one of those jobs where the word freedom doesn't even exist, right?
Mm,
You get into the police force and you are in there for life.
mm,
There isn't really a, yeah, I'm going to do this for a few years and then see how it goes. I mean, people that go into the police force, they are locked in. That is a lifestyle, it's a culture. You don't really think of where you're going to move other than up through the ranks from police officer to sergeant to inspector, etc. And I was in that world for 5 years.
mm,
And when I first got in, it's all these thoughts of, I'm going to be doing this forever. I'm going to be the best police officer anyone ever imagined. I'm going to master this, really hit the ground running. And as time goes on, and it's kind of the daily grind, which sounds bizarre being a police officer because you never know what you're going to get. So I was working on a response team, so being called out to 999 calls. So I could be going to anything, literally anything people want to call 999 for, which is, I won't mention half the things, I'm sure you can imagine.
yeah.
And as time went on, I started to think, I could see people around me buying the houses, getting married, and I was the only one that sort of lived in London, still living this crazy sort of travel lifestyle. I was in my 20s, so I went out a lot, and everyone around me was sort of doing the normal life thing, the kids, the house, living out in the countryside, financing the car. But I never felt like I wanted to do that at any point. Like it just didn't feel like me. And after 5 years of regular job, I started to have wild fantasies about traveling the world. I used to read a travel blog by somebody called Adventurous Kate,
Mm,
and it's quite old school now, but it was one of the biggest at the time. And I started living vicariously through her and thinking, well, I want to travel Asia. I want to have these adventures. She was doing the typical sort of Asia backpacking thing. But in the world I came from, travel wasn't a massive thing. It wasn't something that everybody was doing in my class system where I was from or anything like that. And I eventually took a 1 year career break and I took myself off to Asia. And that 1 year turned into 6 years of travel.
wow.
So I essentially didn't return after the 1 year. And my colleagues would say to me, Kate, you're not coming back. Like I sense you're not coming back. And I'd kind of respond with, yeah, I don't think I am either. Uh, so yeah, it was 6 years of non-stop travel. And I think it's those 6 years that really sort of shaped my entire personality. So I left when I was 27 years old and I came back in my 30s. And when I came back, it was COVID.
Mm,
And I said to myself, I will now live normal life. I will now go back into regular life like everybody else. I'm going to meet somebody. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to get married. I'm going to do the house, the whole thing. Da da da. I've had all my fun. I don't need it anymore. And it took 1 year for me to start a business. And then, of course, life is insane again. Like, there's no part of that that resembles regular life because you're not
mm,
working for anybody.
yeah.
So that's the brief history, sort of leading up to now.
That's amazing. And I actually think it's probably by no coincidence that, the blog that you were reading was called Adventurous Kate, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
and
a great
it's kind of
name.
like literally, it's like, wait, that could be me. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and so I absolutely love that. It's just this whole thing about, and by the way, I do not see like police force as any regular job, but the nuances are similar in the same of, like exactly like you said, what are we brought up to do? We are brought up to, graduate, and then we go in a job, like whether it's 9 to 5, 8 to 10, like whatever, and then you start buying a house, having a partner, getting the car, and then you have kids, and then da 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 da. Life rolls.
yeah,
And then before you know it, you're like, wait, like, am I 60? Oh, what
yeah,
happened?
yeah. What did I just do?
Yeah, what did I do? And
Yeah,
this whole like looking forward to the summer holiday so we can take the kids away kind of thing, right? It
yeah,
just kind of becomes so, and it's almost like that whole cycle of societal freedom
yeah,
with when we go on holiday or when we are at the weekend, we are free.
yeah, yeah,
And then, so tell us a little bit more about how, when you actually decided to go, I'm really interested in finding out when you decided to go traveling, like for the first year and take that break, like what did you think? Was it like, I'm just going to go and do this and try so that I can have my fun and then come back? Or was it more of a, let me see what happens?
yeah. So when I left, I knew I was going to do the backpacking thing in Asia for 8, 9 months, and then I took out an Australian work visa, which back then you had to do before you were 30 or something. I think now it's 35. So I took that out, and that would be for 1 year. So by the time I came back, if I just did my 1 year career break, I'd be slicing off most of that visa time. Um, so when I went, I kind of already knew. I kind of already knew. I thought if I'm going to get a job in Australia, is am I really going to come back here? And so my intention originally, I think I was sort of going with the flow. And I think with in most scenarios in my life, I have gone with the flow. There's not been extensive thought process. There hasn't. In daily life, I'm a total planner. When it comes to taking wild leaps of faith, I am kind of all in. I'm like,
Mm,
I'll just go. And, life or the universe or whatever you want to call it tends to present the answers to you along the way. Like, I don't want to think, okay, in the 1 year time on this trip, realistically, what am I going to do? And I would chalk that down to me being in my 20s, but actually I kind of do the same now. We just went to live in Thailand for 6 months, and it
mm.
was the same scenario. It was like, okay, so what's going to happen here after the six? Well, the answer will present itself to us. It'll all take care of itself some way or another.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that's amazing. Like the way that you recognize that in yourself as well. Well, actually, I can plan, but if you want me to do something really wild and crazy, okay, yeah, I'll still do it. Like because you're able to take that leap of faith. And so you actually mentioned, that those 6 years of traveling, like non-stop traveling, actually probably shaped you a little bit more than you realize. Like now you realize it, but when you came back, you were like, right, I'm ready for regular life again. Like, what do you think how do you kind of feel like that impacted you in the way to helping you redefine what true freedom is? Because you came back with the intention of living a regular
Mm.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when I got back, and I even remember I went to move in with my friend at the time in London, and she was living with her partner in their house, and I was standing in their kitchen thinking, God, I want this for myself. So that'll be my goal, having my partner, having our place, having all of our things, because at the time I came back with everything in a backpack. Um, and I was on my way to achieving that, and I met my partner now in 2021, who I'm still with now. And after our first date, we had a conversation where she told me that she wanted that sort of career life, and I told her, oh, I want babies. I was like, I want kids. I want like the whole regular life package. And she sort of looked at me like, I don't really want kids. And at the time, because it was the only thing I could think to do, I worked as a travel agent in sales, and I had a hobby group on the side, which was a hiking group because I loved hiking, and I started growing this community of women. And it was very organized. It was very organized, but I was running it for free because it was just something I love to do, because I'm such a disruptor of my own life. It's not enough to have a job. I must create some extra stress and pressure on the side. So I ran this hobby group, absolutely loved it. And my partner, so when we got together, she said to me, you can monetize this. This hobby
Mm,
group, this could be monetized. You really organize this well. Why are you not charging? So she was the reason that segued into a business. I think at that moment, if I wouldn't have started a business at that time, would I have stayed on that same track of, yeah, I want to live regular life? Because what starting a business did was I fell in love with business. It became everything to me. I grew this company. It was one of the UK's largest travel adventure companies for women. I worked on it for years, and I was wildly obsessed. And I would happily spend all day, every day doing it, much to my partner's demise. She had to deal with that, but hey, it was her idea. So she just had to live with that. And she helped me on that journey as well. Like, she worked with me at times on that. Because of that overtook the need for me to feel like I wanted children. I think I wanted children for the wrong reason. I think for me, I
mm,
wanted to put my love and my passion into something. I knew I would come back from 6 years of travel and think, I'm bored with my life. What's next? And I felt like the natural step was experiencing the love of having a child. But nothing instinctively in me really wanted to be a mother. It just wanted to love something and give something passion. But when I
Mm.
started this community, all of my love and passion went into that. I then realized I was crazy in love with business, and this is a journey that I wanted to sort of be on forever. And that overtook everything else. And at the time when I worked on Adventuress, which was the company, that kept me very grounded. It kept me where I was in London. And I started to experience burnout, like pretty badly. And I restructured the whole company to sort of accommodate my life a bit more outside of the business. I now realize there's a safe and functional ways of running a business. When you run your first one, you never do it right.
Mm.
um Now I run the coaching. Again, it's all through community. And when I restructured, I fell out of love with it. And I pivoted massively, and I kind of lost my audience because I took myself away a little bit, and it really damaged the company. And Katia, my partner at the time, was like, I'm thinking, should we move somewhere that isn't the UK? And because I'd actually pivoted, it then gave me my freedom back.
Mm.
And I remember speaking to a business coach at the time about this potential pivot and about going into coaching, about helping other entrepreneurs learn from the mistakes that I had. And on that coaching call, she asked all the relevant questions and came up with, it sounds like you're obsessed with freedom. Because I was talking about traveling and being, so all these years that I'd come back and tried to ground myself, actually the whole time in the background, I'd been obsessing about what I'd done the 6 years. Every time I'm stood in the kitchen staring out the window at London, I'm thinking, God, remember when you're in the Canadian Rockies living out of a minivan? Or do you remember when you were trekking through the jungle in the Philippines or whatever? It was just like a constant thing that never left. So when Katia said about moving abroad and going to Thailand, which at the time sounded so nuts, I actually thought, I want this 100%. I want this. And it made me, my true self in that moment resurfaced. Like,
Mm.
you want freedom. Like, that's what you want. That's why you started a business, not just to not have a boss and let your creativity flow, but also to locate yourself wherever you like. A lot of people start businesses for freedom. They don't realize they're actually locking themselves into something, that they've actually taken away all of their freedom. It's a massive misconception. Unless you structure your entire business model around freedom right from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you actually shared about how you thought you wanted children. Like you thought you wanted something, but actually that something was not even children. I mean, maybe you are not averse to having children at some point in your life, but it's actually not something that you want right now, and you just wanted to channel your love and passion somewhere. And I love that because actually, you know, I mean, being a coach myself as well, we understand that actually people say, okay, this is what I want, but where does this idea come from?
Yeah.
And then being able to understand, oh wait, no, that's not what I want. What I really really want is to be able to have the freedom of being myself, but also be able to channel my love and passion somewhere.
Yeah. I think people rarely reflect,
Mm.
right? Like, rarely take that time out to, I mean, and this is why people have coaches, because the coaches ask questions that you never ever think about. And like my one did. And yeah, we just don't stop and reflect. Yeah, why do I want what I want? Like, asking yourself those questions. What does this really mean to me?
Mm.
I do it a lot with goal setting now. If I set a goal, okay, that's just an example, business goals. I would like X amount of revenue per month. And then we add on to that, so that I can have X. Okay, so that I can travel freely around the world, live wherever I want. But then keep putting so that on the end. And what you eventually get to is kind of like the core of what that really means to you. And it was wild because I did this the other day, and the end result was something like, so that I never ever live a life with any regrets. And then that can sort of be chained to, things that I was exposed to growing up. And it's so wild how deep these things can run.
Yeah, it's super powerful, like being able to have someone to ask those right questions at the right time. So that you can actually get to that point of, oh, right, this is the reason why I really, really want it. And this is the thing I actually want. So, and I love how you shared, when, and this, I guess, is not just specific to business as well. It's more like life, right? When you actually pause and go, wait, well, what is life about? What is my life about? You need to structure it from day one
Yeah.
of, this is the path that I want to go down, rather than, oh, I'll figure it out, like at some point later. I'll just go with whatever I've been used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so, coming back to like really honing in then on that whole concept of true freedom. Like, what does true freedom actually mean to you right now? Now that you've been traveling, you've tried the settled regular life, gone to Bali, now you're back in the UK. Like, what does true freedom actually mean to you now?
Yeah. I think, well, firstly, I think true freedom really lies within us, right? And our perception of the world around us. I think we can say true freedom for me is being financially free, location independent, all of the above. But realistically, I could have all of those things and still not feel free. If your business grows big enough, or your role at work, increased salary, usually with these things come extra responsibility. So realistically, yes, you're free in one aspect, but then you may not be free in another. So then what does that mean? So it's a real, life is this constant imbalance almost. It's very difficult to get it completely balanced. That's the beauty of life, right? It's unpredictable. If we just knew we were going to live in balance, it actually might not be very exciting at all. They don't do telenovelas about lives that are completely perfect. We enjoy the journey. And I think I'm just sort of sinking into trying to be good where I'm at, like really enjoying the journey. I, we will be, in 1 year, we'll leave again. So we'll be location independent. We
Amazing.
have life admin to do in the meantime, but in 1 year, we'll leave the UK again, and we'll have that freedom. And I just, need to keep an eye on everything else that's going on around it, and keep bringing myself back to this question. Okay, what does freedom really mean? Once you've got that location, total location independence, is that really freedom? Like, I need to do constant reflection on what that means.
Mm,
And it all ties in with happiness as well, right? Because that is within us. Like, freedom can be within us tomorrow if we choose it. It's getting a bit Mel Robbins here, but it is really, if you know it's in you. I could be free tomorrow if I decide this is the life of my dreams. Like, I don't
yeah,
strive for anything more. This is everything I wanted. I feel free right now. And that is an option, that is a choice. But
yeah.
then it's difficult to not constantly strive for something. And it's funny because what I said earlier about the standing in the kitchen with the partner and the things, me and my partner were cooking in our kitchen the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I achieved my dream.
That's
I didn't even
amazing.
notice.
Yeah, you set that intention out and then it just happened because you were just living your life, like enjoying living your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I love what you shared about how even though it's getting a little bit Mel Robbins, but it is more, it is a lot about actually you can have the freedom if you choose for it to be now. And when I was reading the book with from by sorry by Viktor Frankl, and I kind of feel like he really displayed you can have freedom wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing. And I
Yeah.
think it's so powerful that we get to choose. But l- like you said, and how you advised, is you got to ask those questions, like, and to have that awareness of, wait, why am I doing this? Is so that I can, so then, and
Yeah.
get that absolute clarity in that moment of, oh, okay, this is what it is. And I love that you say, oh, actually, just doing some life and came back doing life admin now, and then we're gonna go again. So that it's not even like you're gonna continuously travel, and so you have more of like a come back, anchor yourself, and then go again. Do you feel like this is kind of how you and your partner are gonna start living life for a while at least? Just kind of like have a space to anchor in and travel and then come back and then go again?
Yeah, well, I mean, I said we're going. I didn't say we're coming back.
Oh,
So
true.
yeah, we're kind of hoping. I mean, it's really wild that we were drawn to each other. Because when we met, obviously our views were so um crazily misaligned with the whole "I want kids" thing, I don't want kids thing. But where we've ended up, because she also has lived a very international life. She's lived in various countries around the world. She grew up in an NGO, um, serving in remote villages around the world. So, yeah, with that, we have a lot in common. And I think it's been perfect because our vision on this aligns. I think if you're in a relationship where one wants to leave and live the free life, as we're speaking about it right now, and then the other one wants to stay and live the stable life, that would be a very tricky situation. For us, what we want as a couple right now is having 6 months maybe somewhere in Asia or somewhere further flung, and then 6 months somewhere maybe in Europe. We essentially want sun 365 days a year, no matter what. Like that, that
Let's
is the
chase the
end.
sun down.
That is the end goal here, really. Like, yeah. And, maybe we'll burn out like I did in the 6 years. I wouldn't say it was burnout. I felt like I was really built for that level of travel. But eventually, the grass is always greener. You will want something else eventually. I don't care what it is. The minute you hit your goal, the minute you get to where you want to be, the bar will raise and you will want something else. And I go into that understanding that that is probably what will happen, and I welcome it. It's constant growth at the end of the day. It's not a bad thing. So
Mm.
yeah, we'll probably do 6 months here, 6 months there, so we're absolutely sick of doing it. And then we'll decide where else we want. It will probably be full circle coming back to the UK and saying, right, let's buy a house. The cycle will go, it will start again.
Well, I look forward to kind of welcoming you back on the podcast and go, all right, so you've done all the traveling now. Now you're back. What? Now you're buying a house. Tell me
Yeah.
more about your freedom now.
Yeah, yeah. What does freedom really mean to you now? And I'll be like, oh
Yeah.
God, so much travel. God.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing so openly, and just being so upfront about, your journey and literally where you've come from until right now, because actually it's been a hell of a journey and with so many ups and downs that we didn't have enough time to actually cover today in between. um but before we kind of close off this conversation, I would love to ask you, and I think a lot of people, myself included, would love to know, like, what is one tip or one piece of advice that you can share with everyone to when they're looking for or looking to redefine their own freedom? Like, what would that be? Is it literally just quit and go traveling?
I think it is what we've been saying. Really write down what that means to you. So don't stop at the buck of, yes, I want to leave, I want to go traveling. Some people end up going traveling. I saw this a lot when I was away. They get 3 months in and they want to go back home.
Mm,
So really understanding, okay, whatever freedom looks like for you, whether that's starting a business or whether that's going traveling, really try and define it in that moment. You might not actually know what it means until you actually do the thing and get out there. If it's leaving a relationship you know you shouldn't be in, or quitting your job, if there's inklings of wanting to do these things, they will likely follow you for a long time until you take action. If you are
mm,
too scared to take action, just do the tiniest step first. Like the tiniest thing. So if you think, oh, I would love to go traveling and experience that level of freedom, but I'm so scared to do that. What I did years ago was I started with a solo trip to Dublin on a weekend, just to
love that.
ease myself into the idea, you know. I'd not
Yeah.
traveled solo before, so for me that was a big deal.
Mm,
Just doing a tiny step like that, it really made a difference. And I went to Dublin and I absolutely loved it. I met loads of people. It was just fantastic. I still have amazing memories from just that one weekend. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, just a little step to take you there. That first tiny movement is will be enough to get you excited. And then it's like, okay, planning the next one. It doesn't all need to happen at once.
mm.
You don't need to do like cut loose immediately.
Yeah, I love that. And you laugh about your solo trip to Dublin. My solo trip was to London.
Yes.
I started really small. Like I was in the Midlands, and my first solo trip was London.
Hey, London's a scary place, man. Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah,
valid.
it can be. But yes, and so well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think we often go in at something going, I need to go all guns blazing, I need to quit my job, and then now like, to the depths of the jungle immediately.
Yeah.
It's like no, 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 like London or Dublin is the perfect place to start.
Baby steps.
Yes, baby steps. We always have to celebrate those baby steps. Well, thank you so, so much for your time, Kate. Like this conversation has absolutely flown by, and there's so much more we can talk about. So definitely would love to have you back at some
Yes, for
point,
sure.
and just to kind of share more of your insights and stories, especially around how you the way you shared about how sometimes we think freedom is this, but actually it might not be. And it's like just being aware of that and understanding, going in with that understanding of, okay, I'm willing to try this out. Whatever happens will happen. So thank you for sharing that. And, to everyone in the audience, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay, like, thank you for listening to this. And we'd love to hear from you. If you've had any thoughts on this episode, any insights, or maybe you've had some similar experiences, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. And, if you have one thing that you can take away from Kate's story as well, please do share it with us. And on that note, thank you so much for your time, Kate, once again.
Thank
And
you. It was
I look forward
amazing.
to speaking to you again very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.